We're taking stock with Terence Nombembe, former Auditor General of the Republic of South Africa. He is the Chief Executive at the South African Institute of Chartered Accountants. It is responsible for the administration of the highly sought-after qualification of CA, Chartered Accountant SA, one of the most respected accounting qualifications in the world. Anoj Singh, suspended Chief Financial Officer of Eskom. He's a CA SA, isn't he?
Bruce, can I protect myself?
Of course you can.
You're raising all the exceptions. You're not giving me an opportunity to talk about the preeminence of this brand.
But the very preeminence of this brand of CASA is precisely what is under threat. South Africa, by the World Economic Forum, was held up. One of the strongest cases for South Africa in our credit rating was that the World Economic Forum regarded South Africa as a preeminent player in the world of audit and accounting. This year we dropped from number 1 to number 37. And that was before the KPMG scandal broke. That's before chartered accountants went rogue in various institutions. Your role to defend chartered accounting is fine. But unfortunately, we've got to challenge whether or not the CASA moniker is under threat because of the behavior of a small percentage of some of your members.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And that's why I would like to just start on the other angle to say to retain and restore that credibility that the world has on the chartered accountancy brand. There are certain things that we ought to do and we are doing. For instance, being involved in making sure that issues of skills development and training those people properly in response to the modern times, the risks that we're highlighting of fraud, corruption, state capture, and many other risks of improper judgment. Those are the issues that we're looking at to respond to these examples. So we're using these examples to basically say, how do we recycle them into the system so that this does not become a norm by which we're known?
Is it fair to say that in many cases, like any industry, one goes through a series of tick boxes? One goes through and says, okay, fine, we've done our job here, tick box, and the auditors sign off, and everything is then deemed to be hunky-dory. And it's fine until something goes wrong. When things go wrong, they go spectacularly wrong, and the audit profession, the accounting profession, is in the crosshairs of public opinion right now. Surely it's the role of the industry to rectify its public opinion. So in the case of Steinhoff, for example, PwC investigating Steinhoff, of which 6 board members are chartered accountants, it's got to make blimmin' sure that they all are held to be above board.
That is absolutely true, and that is why we constantly are dealing with these issues decisively, and we will deal with all these issues decisively.
What does it take to lose CASA at the office? If I was Bruce Whitfield, CASA, what would it take for me to lose that title?
You must have done something that basically brings the profession into serious disrepute, which is one of the mandates that the disciplinary committee has in striking people off the...
And you can do that without a criminal conviction?
Yes, it must be a demonstrable evidence that people have in fact breached the code of conduct. And part of the evidence may come from a criminal kind of investigation. Some of it can come from other investigations that basically could be civil, or even coming from the disciplinary process within the employer, or any other process that basically justifies that you definitely have breached the code of conduct.
How often does that happen? Does it happen once a year, 10 times a year, on average?
It happens, all the time. We are alerted to a situation where the breach has occurred, which is critical. But can I just come back to the point that these are truly exceptions, and for us it's important that once again we recycle them back into the system so that we learn from them and make sure that they don't define who we are as a brand that carries a symbol of trust.
Because trust is what it's all about. Once the accounting profession loses trust, already there are questions around whether or not any other report KPMG has ever filed on behalf of the government department can be relied upon. That's why this stuff is so absolutely pivotal. When are we going to have a clear idea from SAICA as to what has occurred in KPMG? Let's pick that one example. The investigation's underway. Dumisani Sibeza is doing his work. You're getting, it would seem, cooperation from the various parties involved. When do we fully understand what happened at KPMG?
I think after the investigation has been finalized, which at most it should be by end of April.
Okay.
Hopefully it can be even earlier, but we don't know because of the complexity and the nature of the information that will have to be processed here.
Transparency absolutely critical in this. Will a final report by Dumisa Nsebeza be made public?
Well, the report will come to SAICA as one of the stakeholders. It will go to other structures of judiciary if there is a matter that needs to be processed there, to RBA to the extent that it affects their mandate.
But what about public? What about public consumption of a document like this?
I'm sure there will be elements of that may be appropriate for public consumption. Which
why only elements? Why not the entire thing? In the interest of transparency and for the credibility of the accounting profession, surely complete transparency is what's required.
I think Advocate Nsebeza can talk about that because he's the one who will have a better sight of what is appropriate, what is not appropriate for public consumption. Yeah.
Terence Nombembe, thank you very much for coming in. A difficult conversation to have with the early days of a Steinhoff scandal erupting, read all over the screens of the JSE this Wednesday, and crisis management happening within the boardroom of Steinhoff. Steinhoff, of course, announcing in the last 24 hours that its chief executive, Marcus Jooste, has stepped down. The executive chairman, who is 76 years old, and that, of course, is Christo Wiese, taking over as the company. Now, Christo Wiese notoriously is very happy to give businesses under his control to trusted lieutenants. The fact that he has stepped into the breach on this one suggests that he's deeply concerned with what has gone on within the accounting practices, challenged by audit firm Deloitte, and now under investigation by PwC. Difficult questions for the chief executive of the South African Institute of Chartered Accountants to answer, but hopefully what it does is broadens your understanding of the way in which the accounting profession works and how it holds its key members to account. My thanks to the SAICA Chief Executive, Terence Nombembe, and thank you for watching. We'll be more taking stock next time here on ENCA. Thanks very much for watching. Bye-bye.
We dig deep, sparking conversations that matter. Bringing you the truth as we uncover it.